top story. Cross-party politicians are calling for an investigation into the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, over claims that she misled you, the public, about the state of Britain's finances.
Well, Rachel Reeves denies being overly pessimistic to justify tax rises. She insists they were necessary.
However, the Office for Budget Responsibility confirmed there was actually a surplus of public funds, not a deficit. Rachel Reeves said the surplus wasn't big enough, but...
This important interruption is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Protect your money and your identity. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code here to get ExpressVPN right now and save up to 73% on annual plans today. Right, let's get back into it.
Well, Reform UK leader Nigel Farage says the Chancellor should be investigated now for potential breaches of the ministerial code.
Well, let's remind ourselves that on many occasions she misrepresented the state of the economy, and then you decide.
£22 billion black hole.
A black hole left to me by the previous Conservative government.
£22 billion black hole in the public finances left by the party opposites.
Well, you make up your own mind. Oscar Reddrop, political advisor, what does that say to you or do to you? Does it make you think she's definitely misled us?
I think, look, I think misled is probably just about right. I think lying is quite hard to prove in politics. But look, in really simple terms, because people are going, well, why did she? You know, well, why create all this doom and gloom, this crisis, this early morning press conference in mid-November and the months before it, you know, black hole this, black hole that. She needed to justify and roll the pitch for putting her hand in our pockets, taking additional cash, taking additional tax revenue, and placating and soothing, if you like, the backbench, soft left MPs who have been, you know, rebelling against her on things like welfare and the two-child benefit cap. That's what happened. She needed to justify to the public the need.
And let's say, right, she then gave herself a few quid to play with. She satisfies her the political pressure on her backbenches. So what's wrong with that? I mean, what sort of headroom does that give her? Just gives her something comfortable, does it not? Yeah,
and I think the market's like that. I think they've seen the additional headroom, so it's like a big green tick for the markets. The markets don't care about us, ultimately, in a way. They don't care about the difficulties that we go through as households and the like. And when she made the decision, or at least she wasn't able, because of the pressure from her own party and her own MPs, to slash that welfare spending, she only had somewhere to go. And that bit of headroom that she did have, that the OBR told her that she had.
Now, there we see Kemi Badenoch, leader of the Conservative Party, and really having a go at Rachel Reeves. Is she impressive in doing that, or has she gone too far? What do you think?
No, she was outstanding last week, and it's been a tough gig for Kemi, and people have written her off already. I kind of get why. There hasn't been a whole load of cut-through, and Nigel Farage and Reform just ascend, cut through. But she was outstanding. She can, and the criticism, oh, did she go too far? Was she too... No, she was representing the anger and the frustration that is out there. And that's what you want from leaders at times. Not always, but you want them to be a messenger for the anger and hurt that is out there. And she did it superbly. And I've said it before, and I will say it again. We don't see it enough. But the best, when Kemi is firing on all cylinders, she cannot be touched. She is a very powerful politician, and that's what people saw last week.
She made a good point, I thought, over the weekend as well on the media rounds, saying, look, this is the rough and tumble of politics, and Rachel Reeves and the like can dish it out, but they can't take it.
Oh, for sure. And being really objective, I was at the other end of it with Boris, with Starmer, for example. Starmer was brutal. It was always personal. It was always playing the man, not the ball. And that's kind of okay, I guess, because that's sometimes how it works.
There's nothing more important than keeping your money and your identity safe online. And with so many VPN options available, choosing the right one can be pretty daunting. But this video's sponsor, ExpressVPN, is making the choice easier for GB News viewers. ExpressVPN is offering up to 73% off, plus 4 extra months free. That's top-level security from just £2.49 a month, and you're covered by their 30-day money-back guarantee. So just click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code now. Remember, when you're online, you are often sharing personal data, so hackers can steal your information, your passwords, your photos, and your bank details in just seconds. But ExpressVPN encrypts your connection, making it virtually impossible for hackers to access your personal information. So why choose ExpressVPN? Well, it couldn't be easier to use. With just one click, you are protected. And ExpressVPN uses military-grade AES 256 encryption, which is the same standard trusted by the US government to guard their classified information. With their new tiered plans, you can protect up to 14 devices at once and manage passwords securely. Live chat support is available 24/7, and it typically connects you in under a minute with a real person. Click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code to get up to 73% off ExpressVPN plus 4 extra months free. Start protecting yourself today with ExpressVPN.
It's a big.
So do you know, I often think, you look at Kemi Badenoch and, you know, as you say, she hit the target. There's no doubt about it with her retort to all of this. So then, if she bumps into Rachel Reeves in the corridor, do they go, hi Rachel, how are you? Everything okay? And Rachel says, yes, Kemi, what are you doing for Christmas? Do they chat like that as if it didn't happen? I mean, I've seen this in Northern Ireland with loyalist and Republican politicians, and you think, oh God, they really hate each other. And they'll shake hands and they'll talk and they'll have a laugh and a joke and they'll move on. They'll say awful things about each other on television, but it's sort of real life can be different. I'm not saying it is different, but it can be different.
Yeah, there is elements of that. I know some politicians and leaders of the opposition can do that. Others genuinely despise each other. So I'm not quite sure what it is with Kemi and Rachel Reeves.
It did look awkward yesterday. I don't know if you saw on the media rounds, facing opposite each other, and Rachel Reeves couldn't make eye contact with Kemi Badenoch. But Kemi Badenoch looked very relaxed.
Well, that's a sign of where she's at. Kemi Badenoch is probably feeling she's growing into the role and feeling more confident, whereas Rachel Reeves, I think with every passing day, is probably realising, if I'm honest, I'm not quite sure I can handle this. That's the impression you get at this point.
It's very telling, don't you think, that there are 3 cabinet ministers, this is literally just in the Times, which is in front of me right now, 3 cabinet ministers briefing about this is a disaster, this is frustrating, this is weak and incompetent.
So they're getting in touch with the press.
Yeah, and they're briefing against the Chancellor.
Yeah.
Right. Well, is she history?
I think it's been the beginning of the end for some time. I think this only...
But if she goes, Starmer goes, surely.
He will try... I mean... If there's one thing, he's like those old Nokia phones that you just cannot smash sometimes. Yeah. If there's one, he will cling on. If Rachel does go, because the pressure gets too much and credibility's gone, he will try and cling on for as long as he can. Of course he will. But the fact, just for people watching this, the cabinet, these people who are in charge of, and even more now, we've been taxed even more, billions of our pounds, billions of our money. On a Sunday night, they're not thinking about the week ahead, how to make the country better, what can they do for our priorities, all the rest of it. Can they sort the bins out in Birmingham? Or whatever it may be. They are briefing against their number 10 and 11.
Well, you see, real politics and what politicians should be doing is sorting out the bins in Birmingham. And we're going to be talking about this. We're going live to Birmingham in 5 minutes or so. How long has this been going on?
I've lost count, but well over a year at this point.
A year. Absolutely. Sort of, why does nobody seem to care about this? I just don't understand this. Birmingham, right, like a lot of councils, they haven't got the budget, they haven't got the money. But then that's central government's responsibility, surely, to step in and do something about that.
It's probably, for a lot of people right now, it's probably symbolic of where the country's at. And it's entirely depressing. And the fact it's gone on this long... And I know you're angry about it, Eamon, and you're right to be. It is a complete disgrace.
Yeah. Oscar, just before we let you go, can I ask you about this breaking news that we've had this morning, that the Labour MP, Tulip Siddiq, has been sentenced to 2 years in jail for corruption in Bangladesh as she resigned.
Will she not be going there on her holidays, will she?
She's
not going near Bangladesh, I would have thought.
Yeah, she wasn't in the country when she was tried.
Right.
But, of course, she resigned. Her from her ministerial post earlier this year, didn't she, when she was accused of illegally receiving a plot of land from her aunt. Her aunt, who was ousted last year from Bangladesh, since been sentenced to death. She's fled to India.
Wow, I mean, former Treasury Minister, no less, as well. She might be, it's from one problem to another, really. Look, I think, from what I understand, it's very unlikely she'd ever serve that sentence. But again, when you read it back like that, it is staggering. This is a minister. This is the highest level you can get to government in this country, to have received a prison sentence in Bangladesh. I think people will read into that what they will. I think it probably speaks to the whiter than white, how Labour came into power when they took over the Tories, the sleaze, the Tories this, the Tories that, and the transport sec had to resign, if you remember. I think misleading the police on a stolen phone, all the Lord Ali stuff. Obviously, this stuff with Tulip Siddiq is shocking corruption. It kind of goes on and on and on. So as a lesson to politicians, do not pretend you are saints. Do not pretend you are whiter than white, and that because you will never ever hold yourself to that. You'll never be able to hold yourself to that.
Yeah, but who is a saint? Who is whiter than white? Yeah. And what do we accept? I look at Trump day after day, and I go, if he was a British politician, he'd be history. He wouldn't be allowed to say that. He wouldn't be allowed to behave like that. And yet there is increasing support and a lot of admiration, I think, in the UK for him as well. Is that the way our politics is going?
Well, look, I think people want results now. I think the situation is kind of as dire as it is in the UK at the moment. I don't like talking the UK down, but it's not great for people. It's tough for people. I think at this point, people just want results.
I agree with you in terms of, I think, also just talking the truth, saying it as it is, not going around in circles, not speaking in political speak and saying absolutely nothing. And there are too many that are a bit like that. Oscar, pleasure listening to you.
Thanks, Oscar.
We've got to move on, my friend.